Thank you very much. My name is Ansoy from the BBC. I have a quick question for President Kagame. As chair of the Commonwealth, I wonder what your priority will be, especially in terms of upholding the values of democracy and human rights, given that there's been a lot of scrutiny on your country and the record of your government, and critics have been pointing out the number of opposition leaders and journalists who are in prison. I wonder what your leadership of this organization is going to look like in the face of that. And tied to that is also the criticisms that have been directed at your government as well over the migrants deal. They have raised questions of human rights, but also questioning whether your government, by entering this deal, allows the British government to abdicate its responsibility towards refugees.
Right. I think checking of facts is a serious problem with the very institutions we should have relied on to inform the public, the general public, the world, about some of these facts. Or whether the facts themselves or the interpretation of some of the things that actually happen. Now, let me start with the issue of values. Who defines the values? Or who doesn't actually have values? When people talk about values sometimes, there's one part of the world that has assumed the sole responsibility and the monopoly of defining values. So the rest of us have no values. We've just to keep learning from these ones who define the values. And by the way, the danger also is, it doesn't matter how long you take learning, you will never qualify. You will just always be branded somebody who has no values or who comes from a place where there are no values. So I want to put this case clear. Those from the north who always assume where BBC comes from, who always think they are the face of values, the rest have to follow. It's a big mistake. It's not true. We have values too. We here in Rwanda, in Africa, we do. No question about it. Second, there are some of these problems we have had in our continent, in Rwanda. Those from the north who define or want to define values have been part and parcel of these problems we have been facing. Some of them have actually been the cause of the problems we face. But at the same time, like the genocide here that took place here in Rwanda, where 1 million people over were killed. Well, I remember, if your memory serves you well too, I'm not inventing anything. The debate that went on at the UN, it was like, you know, these developed rich countries, those who define values, simply took it like, these are just Africans killing each other. These debates were in the open. But you think that is true? You think the divide that actually led to this genocide was just a creation of Rwandans? not the people from the north who actually divided this country, told people to think of themselves as belonging to one ethnic group and the other to think as belonging to another ethnic group, and therefore they should kill each other. Not only are they different, but they should kill each other. Would you believe that? Would you tell me that the 20 million people, this is documented by other people, not by me, who were killed in the Congo, were killed by other Congolese in the old days of King Leopold? And you think all that just disappeared in a moment? Then you had the savages coming over and taking over their own countries and killing each other. And then the others assume the higher ground. They are up there in the north and keep pointing fingers at those of us and think we have no values and we just are there to, we don't respect freedoms, we don't respect human rights. Sure, you think so? BBC, you think so? You take time, you broadcast, and from morning to evening, this is literally just abusing people. You're abusing Rwandans, you're abusing Africans, values. What values do you know, my dear sister, on behalf of BBC? So I want to assure you, there is nobody in the BBC or anywhere else thereabout who would be holding values better than we do here in Rwanda. Except if we just want to cover up the mistakes of the same people who want to define these values for us. Or really tragic mistakes of things they have caused. So when you are saying that, you may tell somebody else, people who don't have time to think or who don't have a history where they have struggled with these complications, yes, they will. But here, those of us who have faced what we did, who have gone through what we did, we take our responsibility. Of course, genocide could not have happened just on the hands of others who brought it to us. No. We, Rwandans, have a responsibility. We have our share of the blame for it. But there are others who should take responsibility for that. So I just want to let you know that these issues of upholding values and so on, as far as I'm concerned, as I know, as far as Rwandans are concerned, we don't need any lessons from BBC or from anyone. I tell you this with firm conviction. So, democracy or people in prison you're talking about, there is nobody in Rwanda who is in prison that should not be there, because we have a justice system that is actually functional and is fair. Let me tell you something instead. Actually, there are people who are not in prison who should be there. There are no people who are in prison that shouldn't be there, but there are people who are not in prison who actually should be there. And I'll explain to you if you want. I know, for example, I've been seeing journalists writing all kinds of things. Take somebody, praise her or him, and make them champions of all kinds of things. That's fine. I wish these people are making them champions of their own situations, if they wanted them. but not of our situations. And I give you some details. And what I meant when I said what I said. Take an example who is always written about, and people who have been here even during this CHOGM, and they were visiting. There's a woman called Ingabire Victoire, whom BBC and others want to always sing about being the face of the opposition. Okay, fine. And this is one I was referring to. She's not in prison now, but should actually should be in prison now. She was in prison. She committed a crime for which she was tried in the court of law. She was actually sentenced and imprisoned. The government, the president, under the prerogative of the masses, president has that powers. Actually, this woman was released from prison before she served her full sentence. And it wasn't because she was not guilty or whatever. I'll tell you something else which shows double standards, which lead to these things you were asking. She was tried on the basis of evidence that was provided by European countries working with our own justice system. You see, it wasn't just done here. It was done between us and some European countries who provided evidence, corroborating with the evidence we had, and that's on the basis of which she was tried and sentenced and put in prison. Now, but some people decide to make that person an angel of freedom and democracy and something like that. Where does it come from? But she's out there. She's not in prison. But this I'm saying, she should actually be in prison if we hadn't just forgiven her. Okay, we forgive her to be out of prison so that you can pick her and pump her and praise her. Okay, that's fine. If that serves, but I wish it was serving something good for the country. That's okay. Then you have another person whom the very people I was referring to picked, praised, made her a celebrity, him a celebrity, you know, made a hero of, made him a savior of, but I don't know even what he saved. Now, when he faces justice, there is evidence, irrefutable evidence. He was tried in the court of law publicly. Nobody questions the facts on which the evidence is based. But then say, no, you see, this one is, a critic of the president. No, you first answer these facts before you talk about your things that you want to use. And in fact, this person committed this crime with many others. There are about 21 people in the same case, all of them who pleaded guilty and are implicating this person, and this person was at one time their leader. These are people who were armed, waged violence against families of Rwandans. People were lost their lives. There are victims there. And then there is the one, this person, it comes from America, from Europe, and that this person, and in fact, what is interesting, they come and say, this person, we are not saying he's innocent, but he should be released. And then we ask them, say, okay, if you think he should be released, how about these others who are co-accused with this person, who are also in prison? So in other words, they are saying, this person is special. We've made him special, so you should not question that. And then we say, okay, fine. How about the victims? The very people, families that lost their people on the hands of this person. They can't answer that, but they keep insisting. So anyway, let me try to cut. It was a loaded question, so I'm trying to grapple with how to cut the answer short. But so the basis on which these judgments are made is not necessarily right. It's not correct. So I'll let you make a decision at some point what to believe or what you should be making other people believe, but I know by my answer in whatever way, maybe you're already framing a completely different story about what I said, or giving it a frame in which I didn't put it, but that's okay. Let me quickly talk about the migration problem with the UK. The migration problem arises out of so many things that have been happening even before we had anything to do with the UK migration issue. We have so many refugees here in Rwanda, Congolese refugees, Burundi refugees, many, in their tens of thousands. That is one. Number two, in 2018, we decided, at that time I was the chair of the African Union, that we help out on this case of Libya. Many Africans through Libya, up to now, they are still caught up there. They've been brought from Libya over time, brought here, processed here. Some of them are still here. 1,000 of them so far have been processed and taken abroad to Europe, to Canada, to United States. But we just saved a situation where thousands of young Africans were caught up in Libya. They are trying to get to Europe. They are not getting there. They got stuck. They were imprisoned. They were in jail. Then they were even being enslaved. There were people coming to buy them as slaves and taken to some places. So we said, we offered something to the international community. We told them, look, instead of having these people suffering in Libya, can we have them in Rwanda so that those countries that want to help out, either to return them to where they came from or to take them to places that can accept them. The remainder, those who want to stay with us, we can even make them stay here. We have no problem. Those are three options. And that's how the UNHCR got involved, other international institutions got involved, and the process has been going on since 2018. Now, on this one, I mean, because I have seen with this UK partnership, people tried to imply that there is money involved. It's like we are just being paid to have these people. You may find out for yourself, investigate, if anybody gave us money about the Libyan case. There was no money. In fact, what happened was the international community helped to transport them, bring them here. We provided a place, and they also started supporting these people. And that's how it has been going. In fact, we had that situation. We had another case where Israel, I remember, was throwing out some migrants also who had gone there from Eritrea, Ethiopia, Sudan. We also helped on that. That is way before this case of... so what is happening today is no different from what was happening then. Now, and this question of money involved that people are talking about, largely it is money to look after these people who are being brought here because they are not accepted in the other side, on the other side. Now, so if we have a situation like this, first of all, it also builds on our position in terms of how we see the migration issue. While there might be a right of a person to flee and seek refuge in some place, it's not going to be anybody. Because in this one, there are two types of criminals, if I may say. There are actually people who have been finding their way to whichever place that don't even deserve to be accepted by those places. It's not automatic. That when you say, I want to go to UK, I want to go to France, I want to go to Belgium, I want to go to Spain, that you must always be accepted. No, it depends on why you are going to that place. Are you somebody running away from persecution or from serious problems? Yeah, but there is a case here. People should be able to listen to that. But at the same time, it's up to that country to decide what they do in that case. There's nothing automatic about it. But in fact, some of the cases involve criminality. People simply either escape justice for committing different types of crime, and when they are going to whichever place, there is no automaticity about accepting them under migration laws. I think this must be accepted as a fact. Two, there is a criminality that involves slave trades, like they are trading them. These people who, there is a network of criminals that actually do business with this. That is known. The criminal networks are known in Africa or in Europe. So if countries are trying to say, no, we have to have orderly migration, what's wrong with that? I have no problem with that. And it doesn't matter where they are coming from, whether it is Europe or Asia or wherever. By the way, we also, not so long ago, accepted people from Afghanistan. We still have young people who are living here who came from Afghanistan. We received requests that people were looking for where to go because they were fleeing what happened in Afghanistan, and we accepted these people. These people are still here. They are attending school. They are living a normal life, normal in that limited sense. Normal situation should be that they live in their country, but here we try to do our best to give them a sense of security and normalcy, but which is not complete. These people are here. They are being helped by different organizations, philanthropies. Nobody's giving this country money to do that. Absolutely not. So I wanted to, in those long explanations of words, to assure you that this migration issue is something that people will have different views about. But I have tried to explain to you where we come from in dealing with it the way we deal with it. So for us, are we committing any crime in accepting these people to come here? But if they don't come, we won't complain. It's not like we are dying to have people come to us in this manner. It's just that we have tried to help out. So what else do you want me to say? At the end of the day, this Rwanda, where we have come from, maybe we know, maybe you know, or you will know. We are happy with the progress we are making. We want more progress. We are members of the Commonwealth. Today, we are the chair, and we will try to work with other members of the Commonwealth and make the best use of this opportunity for the benefit of everyone. There is no offense we have committed about that, and we don't apologize for the progress we have made, the challenges we have faced, and I hope it is also realized that I have been looking around in this world, I know, to find where everything is rosy and everything is fine. No. I haven't found that place. I wish I could find it. Maybe I would learn one thing or two.